Ako si Renji Sansano, 23 years old. Nakatira sa Mabalas-Balasan, Rafael, Bulacan.
Ako po si Rowena Ardagno. Taga Surigao del Sur po kami sa Mindanao. Tapos lumipat po ng Pangasinan, tapos saka po napunta dito sa Bulacan.
I am John Raven Campos. I'm 22 years old from Mapalit, Pampanga.
Ako si RC Constantino, 31 years old, taga San Rafael, Bulacan.
Simula nung high school, tuwing bakasyon, sumasama na ako sa biyahe ni Papa. Nagpapainante ako sa truck para may pangtulong sa pangangailangan ni Mama sa bahay.
Yung nanay ko po, nagkasambahay po siya nung lumipat po kami sa Pangasinan. Si Mama po yung tumulong at sumuporta po sa akin sa loob po ng 21 years po.
I am the eldest among my 4 siblings. I'm already a graduate of a 2-year course, Office Management. Nagsastruggle pa ako if I still want to pursue na maging accountant or engineer because my mom is an OFW and walang stable job si dad.
10th year ko na sa BPO industry. Yung most recent ko, where I spent parang 7 years sa Ortigas. Daily struggle, yung travel time ko inaabot ng 3 hours yung papunta, 2 hours pabalik. Swerte ako pagka nakaupo. Karamihan doon sa mga bus nagagana sa Kabanatuan. Pagdating nila dito, alam mo yun, nakatayuan na. Sa kagustuhan mong pumasok, wala, tatayo ka. And wala ka naman choice eh, parang super commuter ka.
Yung truck po na ginagamit namin is medyo luma na, wala na pong aircon. Sobrang init, di mo na po alam kung saan kalulugan. Wala na po akong ibang nakikita kundi mga sasakyan, langhaplat, alikabok, usok.
Nung papasok na po ako ng first year college, doon ko po naisipang tumulong na rin po kay Mama. Every weekend po, naglalabandera po ako, patago po yun kay Mama. All around po yun habang nag-aaral po ako, tapos stay in po yun.
Dahil nga sa kagustuhan ko na matulungan sila, I started applying for a job. Mabilis ang panahon eh. 3 years na pala yung nagdaan. So with those years that I'm working, hindi ko na naisip yung sarili ko. Hindi ko na naisip na mag-continue pa ako sa studies. Yung gusto mong career, unti-unti na nawala sa plano mo.
Akala ko talaga maganda yung naging decision ko na yung mag-uwian na lang. Mas mabigat pala. So parang na-realize ko na sobrang dami ko ng time na nawawala. Yun na para sa wife ko. Siyempre para dun sa 2 kids ko din. Ang uwian nila mga bandang 4 or 5. So wala na ako inaabutan. Hanggang umabot sa point na magkakatabi kami ng mga bata. Magwi-wish na lang na sana yung work mo mas malapit na lang.
Pag po nasisiraan, pag minalas po ng sobra sa tabing kalsada pa, wala akong ligo, amoy grasa, langis, gasolina. Halos 6 years ko pong ginawa yung ganong trabaho para po may pambaon, pang tuition, tsaka tulong po kay Mama sa bahay. Doon ko po yung nararanasan yung 3 araw na walang tulog.
Mahirap po kasi maapektuhan din po yung pag-aaral ko, kaya nilalakasan ko po yung loob ko na kaya ko pong magtrabaho kahit nag-aaral. Kasi kailangan nga po. Mahirap po kasi yung makita ko po yung mama ko na sugat po yung mga kamay, ganun. Kahit hindi po niya sinasabi sa akin na nahihirapan na po siya sa pagtatrabaho niya. Hanggat maaari po kailangan kong tumulong ng tumulong kahit wala na po matira sa akin.
Nawawala na po ako ng pag-asa na makahanap ng magaan na trabaho.
So yun, parang nag-decide na ako na maghanap na lang ng trabaho somewhere malapit sa pamilya ko.
God is always giving us a way para ma-pursue talaga kung ano yung gusto ng puso. There's a new BPO here in Bulacan.
So may nagsabi na subukan ko daw po dito sa Telework PH.
Pangarap ko po talaga makapasok din po sa call center.
Na-introduce sa akin yung Telework, perfect timing. Natanggap ako kaagad.
I had my interview with the HR manager. Sinabi po nila sa akin na I passed.
Di naman po ako minalas, natanggap po ako agad. Sobrang saya ko po kasi iniisip ko pa lang po na makakaiwas ako sa mga alikabok, gasolina, grasa, lalo na po dun sa sobrang init kasi aircon po dito, ganun.
Yes, finally I can work again para ma-sustain din po yung pangangailangan ko for my studies and para rin sa mga kapatid ko.
pagka everyday, syempre po may mga quota po, tapos kwento ko po sa kanya na nakakota po ako na ganito. Nakikita po niya na masaya po ako sa trabaho ko.
Parang hindi na lumilipas yung araw na hindi kami nagkikita. Na-resolve ko na yung part ng family matters talaga.
From struggling and being torn between working to support my family and studying to pursue my dreams, now I am an accounting student and at the same time, a technical product trainer and QA analyst at Telework PH.
Mula sa pagiging pahinante ng truck na sumasalubong sa alikabok, usok at init, ngayon, isa na akong non-voice representative ng Telework PH na may aircon.
Mula po sa pagiging working student at kasambahay, ngayon po ako na po ay isang non-voice data analyst ng Telework PH.
Mula sa pagko-commute from Bulacan to Manila, then pabalik, naubusan ng time sa pamilya. Ngayon, operations manager na ako dito sa Telework PH, dito sa Bulacan. So, ayun, mas marami na akong time sa pamilya ko.
I've seen that video. Oh my gosh, why am I crying? I've seen that video 100 times, and I still get teary-eyed every single time. That reminds me of the very reason why I had that vision. I'm sorry, why am I crying? Can I get a tissue, please? Because I started out like them. I was a BPO employee. I was a nurse by profession. And, you know, as a nurse, I'm getting, what, $200 as a salary? $200 per month. That's crazy, right? And I got pregnant at age 19. I had to support a family with $200. And I think I describe the many people who had great potential, given the limited opportunities. And, you know, I'm always reminded about how I started. I had a dream, a vision of bringing the opportunities back to home in Bulacan so I don't have to travel. Because I also started out traveling 4 hours each day going to and back to, you know, Manila and Bulacan, vice versa. Very much like these 4 people here. And I was luckily trusted enough by a client to build a team, to start a team. And I never had business background, I never had recruiting background. I just said, you know, okay, let's wing this as I go. I'll just figure it out. Very much like entrepreneurs here, right? So let me wing this as I go. And I realized I could do it. And I think I want to inspire everyone here in the room. You know, if you think you can, because that's exactly what you ask your mind to do, and your body would achieve it. And so that's when Telework PH started, essentially. And we talk about how, you know, how success is. And often we are described, you know, as successful. They see the top of the iceberg, but they don't see what's at the bottom of it, right? They don't see the sweats, the sleepless nights, the stress, and all that. Because I'll be talking about why cash could be more important in a growing BPO business. But you see, they often say entrepreneurship is fun and exciting until you're slapped in the face with challenges, you know, punched in the stomach, and you're down on the floor, and they're gonna kick you until you realize that you could barely breathe. You're almost dying. That's exactly where we were last year, 2021. We were registered in 2018. And in our 2021, we had total accrued liabilities and borrowings of 22 million pesos, or $400,000. I swear I was so ready to be put in jail for not being able to pay. I don't know where to get this money. My parents were, middle families, they're not wealthy, we're not well off, we're not so well off. So I really didn't know where to get the money. And the funny thing about this is that it gradually accumulated, I didn't know it's happening. I didn't have, like I said, I could say this as an excuse. I didn't have a business background. I didn't have a capable CFO at the time. And now I got shocked, and shocked is even an understatement because I had to see a psychiatrist. It was very, very bad experience. And you see, I could blame the pandemic. I mean, every business has been affected by the pandemic. But you see, had we been more prepared for it, and I could say that there was rarely any business that was ready or forecasted a pandemic scenario. It's a very unique scenario, right? I mean, all of our clients were badly affected and it's just progressing. But I realized the value of having a long cash runway, being able to make very quick decisions based on data and not emotions. I'm an emotional person, but I try as my best to be logical at the same time and effectively lead people through crisis. Have you experienced this? Have you asked your accountant? Because I did. We were profitable. At the end of the year, I'm reading my financial statements. We were profitable, but where did the money go? Can someone relate to this, right? Exactly, right? And I didn't realize this until I read a book, Profit First. Who among you has seen Oh yeah, perfect. Profit First systems. And that's when I realized the difference between a profit and loss. And now, for everyone in the room, I just want to go, I know this is very basic, but I just wanted to get everyone on the same page. What's the difference between profit and cash? So obviously, profit is income less expense. Cash flow, on the other hand, is cash inflows and outflows in your business. The result would be for a profit, it's profitability. You say, I am a profit, I got a profit today or this year, or I got a loss. And for cash flow, it's liquidity. What is exactly in your bank? Cash on hand, cash in bank. It answers, for profit, it answers the questions, am I making money? But for cash flow, it actually answers the question, can I cover all my bills? And obviously, profit is represented in an income statement or P&L. Cash flow is cash flow statement. And profit affects income tax. So that's the basis of the computation. And then for cash flow, it affects what exactly is in your bank account or in your hand. So that's the reality of the business, how it is performing. So let's take a look at an example of a machine purchase, which is an asset. Take a look at how it's very different when you look at cash outflow and depreciation expense, which is a profit and loss, represented in a profit and loss. And cash outflow here, if you bought a machine, right, you spent $70,000. There's a cash outflow of $70,000, and by year 10, the company decided to sell this equipment, so there's a negative $15,000 for both of them. But you can see how depreciation expense is spread throughout the 10-year period. By year 8, it has no value. That's exactly what it is. I mean, machines, they wear and tear, right? So there's depreciation expense. So that's exactly how they are different. And there are a lot of confusion right there because a lot of the cash inflows are also the income, right? A lot of the cash outflows are also the expenses. But you have to bear in mind there are cash items that are not income or expense in your profit and loss, and vice versa. So that's where the confusion comes in. And here's another fun fact. I think you know this, you've seen. Growth sucks. Cash. It sucks, a lot of it. Sucks a lot of it. And we're talking about, expansions, new opportunities, innovation, trial and error. there's a lot to look forward to in the BPO industry, but you have to remember, you gotta burn cash in order to achieve that optimal growth. You gotta do some trial and error. You gotta find your market. Yeah, you put into your business plan, this is where I'm heading, but as you go, you realize that I have to pivot, right? That's exactly the situation we were in the pandemic scenario. So we have to allocate budget for those times that we are learning, that learning curve. And we were not able to allocate for that because we did not see a pandemic coming our way. We took risks in the business and we had 3 months cash runway. What? We were so, we're taking a big risk here. And the worst of it all, we did not cut costs right away because, we love our people, we love our team, and we want them to stay in the payroll as much as you can. But then you realize, the whole ship is sinking. It's no longer happening. And, creditors were after us, salaries getting delayed. I swear, I thought we're gonna file for bankruptcy last year. Derek knows this story. It was a very, very horrible and humbling experience from then. And I guess hold on. Oops. I feel that all of the businesses should experience seeing their business die and come back to life. I'm not saying that would happen, but the life-changing experience after it. After that crisis, I was a different person. I've met a different me. And during crisis, this is the beauty of crisis. It shakes your team to the core. You will realize who are the right people who need to stay in the business. You will realize that those are the people who were with you through thick and thin. And I'm so happy. It's a blessing in disguise that it happened because now the people who had been, keeping us down are no longer with us. And so what are the realizations after this crisis? Number one, I realized you're not going to jail if you fail, as long as you have the intention of actually paying. I've had to go through a lot of negotiations and then back and forth, and you know how it is. You talk with some people, investors or creditors, and you show them the financial statements. And me having no financial background, I had to really learn what these things are. And so it's how it is. And I had to just quote that because you need to settle with them before you even get to the court. I guess that's one of the realizations here. Number two, everything is figure outable. Marie Forleo was right. It's just hard, but it's not the end unless you quit. It's so true. You're gonna be in the position where you feel like there's no hope, and the only way is to let go. Let go in a sense that maybe there is something else that needs to happen here. It's no longer within my control. We try as much to go back to the plan. Stick to the plan because everything is going haywire. It's falling out of place, and I need to stay in control. But that's exactly the opposite of what should happen. You need to let go of what is possibly happening in your business so that it could grow into a different level. Number three, money or riches are meant to be given away. You don't need a lot of it. And I was never a religious person before until this, because then I realized that I couldn't do anything alone. And with that, you're being used. You're being used to become, an enabler. You share jobs. You extend the table to everyone else. So if you're earning by yourself, freelancers here, if you're a freelancer, if you're earning by yourself, find the purpose. Like Rosario said, your purposeful life. Maybe you need to extend that to everyone else. And this is your cue to start that business and grow it. That's the very reason you're growing it, not because of stress, or maybe you're fearful, but because you had to, because you're being used to become a vessel of that blessing. And number 4, you can't do everything alone. You need divine intervention. Because like I told Derek, 6 months after that client, we lost a client in the pandemic. 6 months after, they returned because they said we are the top vendor. It just so happened that it's very difficult for them. They had to cut down on cost. But we were the first vendor or BPO that they approached to restart that contract, and everyone else got their jobs back. It's funny because you might think that when you had to retrench people or let people go, they'd probably look for jobs elsewhere. They stayed. They stayed. They wanted to be in Bulacan. It's a homegrown BPO. They wanted to be with their families. That's what I realized. They wanted to be, as much as possible, the opportunities that would stay within Bulacan, if given to them, they would stay. That's how we were retaining talent. And I think that's powerful for everyone, especially if you're moving to countryside development. You're bringing the jobs closer to home. So how did we bounce back, and what can you do should you be in a similar situation? First, realize that managing cash is 80% emotions and 20% intellect. I had to go back to that story where we had to keep the people in the payroll, but we were already bleeding a lot of cash, we're burning a lot of cash. And when you look at it that way, you want to be, you want to be helpful to these people, but then you realize it's the whole company that would go down. They would sink. And so you had to make a very quick decision. Sometimes you have to save a few so you could save the many. You have to bounce back so you could get them back. And that's exactly what happened with us. Number 2, do profit first system. And I encourage you to take a look at that system. Remember James Clear, he said, Atomic Habits. Have you seen that book? Right? And then that book said, or James Clear said, you fall to the level of your systems. Correct. Goals are there, yes. But in order to achieve those goals, you had to put a system in place where you could be successful and you could achieve those goals. What's profit first? Essentially, this is what it is. You allocate the profit first. Look, it says profit is 20%. You gotta make sure you put that allocation for profit first, and all the cash outflows, including your borrowings, taxes, and all that, have to be also in the allocation. So, and of course, it has to be equal to 100%. And you'd want to see, for instance, your target versus actual. And I mean, this is very basic for everyone. Like, you want to see how it performed for that month, and you have to be aware of how it's different from the target and actual, so you could make sensible financial decisions. So if you needed a copy of this, just reach out to me. I have a template for this, and obviously, you can change the cash outflows. Doesn't matter. I mean, it matters for your business. Number 3, know the levers in your data to increase cash flow. What are those levers? Number 1, pricing. Of course, increase the prices. And it's funny, not all are willing to do this, because it's a difficult conversation to your client to say, well, we've increased our prices this year. And see how much of a profit increase it could give you when you decide that you need to change or up your pricing. Number 2, sales volume, of course. Sell more. There's a caveat to this. If your COGS or costs or direct costs are really, really expensive, you have to somehow take a look at it and delay it as much as possible. So you gotta put that cash in first. Number 3, gross margin. Sell more with less direct costs. A great example is SNR or Costco with their membership. So with the membership, the members pay right away, right? And what's the direct cost there? Paper, card, right? There isn't much of a direct cost, but see how much cash inflow they had because of that membership. It's funny because it represents 80% of their revenue. Right? If you just think about that, maybe employ something like a strategy in your business where, perhaps memberships, where you get that cash from the customers first. And it's very important you get your cash from your customers, not from borrowings, not from creditors. Get that cash from your customers. Number 4, overhead. Obviously, this is one thing that we didn't do. Operating expense. Cut the expenses, especially not related to goods or services. Number 5, debt. Thank you. Debt, of course, restructuring. Number 6, inventory. We don't want sleeping inventories. Number 7, accounts receivable, and 8, accounts payable. So obviously these number 7 and 8, these are the easiest to implement in your business. Just increase the speed of collection and decrease the speed where you pay bills. And this is something overlooked because it's so easy to do. Some people are just, okay, I'm just gonna invoice for tomorrow, even if it's due for today. Like what? No, that 1 day difference is so crucial to your business. You gotta understand that there could be delays in the processing in the bank. There could be holidays. You gotta account for that. But you need to remember, collect that cash right away. Number 4, your partners make or break your future. If there's one thing that I ask myself every single year to audit who these partners are and will I want to work with them again? Would you want to work with them? And I cannot emphasize enough how paramount Payoneer has been as a partner to Telework PH, because apart from their reliability to collect cash right away, we were in that capital advance kind of service where they lent you money, essentially they lent you money, and that gets charged into your account. So there is an inflow of cash from your partner or your financial partner to help you weather those bad times. And then, as long as you see that you can pay them back, it makes it easy for us. So I wanted to commend Miguel, Jen, Monique, and Patricia. Thank you so much for putting up with me, on those challenging times. And I don't want to name the W, but as business owners, you gotta not put all your eggs in one basket. So you gotta work with other vendors or partners as well. But Miguel was so right about customer experience. Nobody in here is working with W. Nobody in here is actually talking with customers like us. Only Payoneer does that. How about we give a round of applause to our Payoneer team? Please keep doing that. We need that customer interaction to help us business owners weather the bad times. And to close this, revenue is vanity, profit is sanity, cash is king. You want to be in a position where the faster you grow, the more cash you generate, because cash is the lifeline of your business. And I thank you so much. That's it.